Okay, sure. Okay, thank you very much for having me. Today we are going to speak about Azure Monitor, and all the content that I am sharing on this slide are taken from the docs.microsoft.com. Let me quickly go there and show you. Just come here. You can see my web browser, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So all the documentation is here with very detailed. So I will go through it in the slides. If you ever want to come back and see it out, everything is available here regarding what I am be presenting here. Right. So just to speak a little bit about me, I am a Microsoft MVP for Azure. I've been there for like 3 years, and then I work as a lead IT engineer at a company called Data MTX, and top rated plus freelancer on Upwork, and about 10 years of IT experience. If you have any questions or queries, you can actually ask during the session. I'm pretty okay with that. And if not, I will have my LinkedIn and email addresses if you want to contact me later. Right. So we'll start with the question, what is Azure Monitor? Now, earlier in the days of the Azure, there were things like we have several roles, right? We have several VMs, we have the web applications running there, and then there are the databases, quite a lot of other things that are coming in, including things like logic apps, APIs, and there are about 100 plus services on Azure itself. Now, back in the day, it was a little bit difficult to monitor everything because the concepts were like, if you have a web application, you need to have a service called application insights, where you will be logging information to that. And if not, there can be some other third-party login mechanisms that you can integrate with Azure. So it was a little bit complex, but was feasible as it was using. Now, what Azure Monitor does is that Azure Monitor is actually combining all these logging and monitoring platforms and the features that it comes with Azure, and even provide support for some other third-party external vendors as well, and give a central point that a person can just go to one place and look at it. Now, to go through with what we have in here, as you can see on the left, we have the applications and the OS and all these resources, subscription and tenant. And what's combined is metrics and logs. And the insights can be coming from the applications. And if you have something like Azure Kubernetes services or Azure container instances, they will be coming from the containers. And if you are still on the infrastructure IaaS levels, you will have the virtual machines and some other monitoring solutions. And they can be visualized as dashboards, views, and even connected to Power BI or workbooks. Now, having Power BI is a big step because not everyone will have access to Azure portal or the Azure related things. But with Power BI coming in, even a business level user will be able to view them. And analysis, the metrics and logs are there. And what happens is, based on any of these alerts that you come up of the situations that happen, based on them, you can set up alerts or things like auto scaling. Now, for example, if you see a web application that's throwing so many errors, now it can be set to send a alert to a particular source, and we will see them in basically in the demonstration. And you can integrate it to logic apps or the other exposed APIs. I will cover them in detail in next slides. Okay, so what are the Azure Monitor components? First one is here we have the uh, detect and diagnose issues across applications and dependencies with application insights. Now, earlier in the days, application insights was the key source for logging the application, web application information, and it's still there, and it's very much connected to Azure Monitor and the resources itself in such a way that you don't need to really do quite a lot of explicit configurations and stuff like that, whenever you specify it and even include in the ARM template, it gets deployed, and all you need to do is to see, go and check the insights that are coming in. And then the infrastructure issues, you can see the VM insights and the container insights. Of course, the virtual machines, if any issues with the virtual machines, those are available with the VM insights, we will see it. And if it is about the containers like Azure Kubernetes Service and things like that, it comes to container insights. And then to monitoring this data, we have log analytics workspaces, and you can actually go there and see all multiple sources of information coming into a single log analytic workspace. And even from there, you can create the dashboards, notebooks, kind of things like that. So it's very easily understandable. And then the smart alerts, as I earlier said, you can set up the alerts. We will see them in the demonstration. And you can actually integrate with dashboards and workbooks, as I earlier said. And also it has integration with Azure Monitoring metrics. So we will see them all in later. Right. So when we talk about the monitoring platform, there are two key things that are available from the Azure Monitor. Uh, there might be several sources of information. There might be different ways of interpreting the data, but it all comes to these metrics and logs, right? So for example, if we need to see how a CPU is working in a VM, that all this information are available as metrics. And if you want to see if any Windows events like failing OS or failing some sort of a networking partition or something like that, all this information are available with the analytics as log analytics. So those are the two key things that we need to know when it comes to Azure Monitor, as in what are the information, how the information are coming in. So it's very simplified into these two aspects. So it doesn't take a lot of time and energy to understand and see how things happen in here. And then what are the data collected? Okay, so here we have the application monitoring data. Now if you have a web application, you might see the requests coming from the web application and the performance, like how much time it takes to load a page, how much time it takes to get a response from certain page. It can be different depending on the page and depending on the user. Even up to that level, it's going into a very detailed information uh, to gathering the application monitoring data. And then the guest OS monitoring data. So if you are running virtual machines on Azure or somewhere else, even you can connect them. So basically, as I earlier said, the CPU and the processors and all the updates and all this information are coming in. And then there are some other resources. You can even connect a firewall and get the firewall logs, how many requests are coming into through the firewall, whether anyone is trying any DDoS attacks or stuff like that. All this also can be monitored with this. And then you get the operation and management data that are related to subscription, and these are basically about the health of the resources. When it comes to health, it does mean not for example, if you take a VM, it's not about the inside the VM, but the resource as a whole, how it is connected with the outside, and is it working smoothly with Azure and so on. And then the tenant level features such as Azure Active Directory, you can create Azure Active Directory. And for if you want to get external users on board, like B2C user, business to customer users, you can create Azure Active Directory business to customer service. So all this information can also be logged with Azure Monitor. And then the custom sources. So as I earlier said, the three custom sources are application insights, container insights, which is for the containers. Here it's for the applications, web applications mainly. And then VM insights for the VMs. Now these are some of the screenshots that you can see, but we will know more when we go into detail in the demo. right? So this is a basic, a sample image of the alerts and the auto scaling options. As you can see depending on the severity, we can classify them depending on our own rules. The subscription and this resource group, and for the past hour, you can see 29 total alerts and 15 rules are there, and then one smart group information. So things like that comes in here as alerts. And then the auto scaling, if you are using the VMs, if you are, for example, if you have a IIS website hosted inside a virtual machine, and if you see there are so many requests coming in, and what will happen is its processing will go up. So if the processing is go up, you can create something called scale sets and keep it increasing depending on the amount of instances you maximum need. So in this case, we have specified as minimum 2, and if the processor time goes over 80%, you can increase up to maximum 5 VMs. So that way you can actually save the cost, because number of instances are available are very low during the off-peak time, and this will happen very rapidly, and it's not like it will take hours or sorry minutes or something like that. It will be very much instant, especially if you are using Linux VMs. And then visualizing data. So this is basically a dashboard. You can see all the information coming in, and for the external non IT users who really want to see this, and including the IT users, these Power BI dashboards can be set up. So it's very in detail, and they can see it all in a single screen, and that makes it communication a lot easier. If you see any issues with the your resources, then even anyone who is outside of your IT department can communicate with you based on certain parameters. You never know how much it will going to go impacted. Right, so we'll go to the demonstrations. I think what's mentioned in slides mostly will be covered in the demonstration. uh, Let me go to my screen over here, and up here let me go to this thing. Now I have this resource group created for this demonstration purpose. Inside this I have application insight service, and then a Cosmos DB account, and a dashboard, and a log analytics workspace, and a VM insight solution, and 2 app services, right? So we will start with creating a application insight service. I have already created them because it takes a little bit of time for the information to come and make it much presentable for you. So I will start with a simple application insights. Yeah, so I can select it. Oh, sorry, let me start with actually a log analytic workspace. Yes, so I can create it. Just give the subscription and the resource group, and I will give it like demo 123 for this one. Let me see whether the name is available. Yeah, and I just keep is2s because I usually create it here. And the pricing tier is available here as pay you go. You can learn more about pricing if you go to the pricing calculator and do it. And I'm not a big fan of tags. You can create them, of course, and just review it and create it. Now, in a real workplace environment, what we'll do is we will automate this with the ARM templates, so it works smoothly across. It can be deployed easily rather than just going in here. As you can see, the deployment is in progress. Give it a few seconds. Yes, so the log analytics workspace is created right now. We will go with in detail when I'm going to go with the other one. And let me go back and create application insights. Sites. Oops. Yes, so just go ahead and create it. And I will give the subscription and the resource group as I did earlier. And I just give a name, something that I will forget later. And we'll give the same is2s. And in the resource mode, what it is asking is whether it's a classic resource mode or it's a workspace based. Now, if you select classic, you can see it will be retired in February 2024. So what happens in classic resource mode is it's creating all the data and storing them inside this application inside resource. That's what early it used to be. Now, right now we have this workspace based, which is connecting to a log analytics workspace. Now I have the ones that I created earlier. I think this is the one that I just created. Yes. And we'll go on and review and create. Okay. So this will also take a few seconds to spin up. It will go through the information and we'll spin it up, right? So it will be available in our resource group once it's created. So let me just show you how to add a virtual machine. We'll start with the virtual machines. So I have one virtual machine that I haven't really set up to any application insights. I can go here to the monitoring space on this left blade, and you can see what it says. This the map dataset collected with Azure Monitor VMC is intended to be infrastructure about the resources being deployed and monitored. And I can enable this. And I will select the workspace subscription that I have already. And I will select the one that I created earlier. So it gets deployed to this workspace. And then I enable it, and as you can see it can take between 5 to 10 minutes, but usually it comes a little bit faster than that. And if I go here, my application insights resource and the log analytics both are done. So how to get VM added to the application insights is simple as that. And if you go back and automate it with the ARM templates, it will take a similar time during the deployment. So it will be a much cleaner approach. So let me go to the resource group once again, and I will go to the log analytics workspace that I have created earlier. This is this one. And if I go to the workspace data sources, I can see the virtual machines, right? Now, one of the VMs that I have is here. As you can see, this workspace, the subscription and stuff like that are there. And if I want to see the logs, I can of course go here and see them as well. But to make it much easier here with the VM, I can go to the virtual machine itself. So where's the VM? It's here. So if I just go to the insights, go here. So here, as you can see, I can select the time range which I need to see. And as you can see, I have two disks, the C drive and the D drive, and the percentage of the storage it's used, and the IOPS levels, and the CPU utilization, like min and max. You can include the which percentile, like 95th percentile, how much it has used, stuff like that. And the available memory, as you can see, it has 9.1 GB available. And then the logical disk IOPS, input outputs per second, and the bit rate here. and the data used and the byte received, byte sent, all this information are simply available here. And if I go to the map view, as you can see, there are 29 clients that are connecting to this VM. So if I can expand, I can see all the IP addresses that they are connecting. And if I go to my VM itself, I can just, I can select this and select expand node. Oops. See, I can see all the processes that are running inside this one. Now, of Microsoft Corporation, these ones are there, and the Edge is there, and quite some more processes are there. So it gives this all visual view, and as I scroll it up and down, you can see all the information available here. And in terms of the outbound, which are the ports that are exposed to outside, as you can see, 443 and 80 are on the top, and there are some other ports as well. If I go here, I can just expand it and see port 80 is used in 7 servers likewise. See different Google Analytics and stuff like that. They are also using these ports. See. So those information available here. If I go to health preview, this is not enabled in this one. I think there's update that I need to do in order to make it available. But once that's done, I think the health prompts also will be available. And as you can see, we can see the alerts and stuff like that here. And you can go here and investigate alerts if there are any alerts are there, right? And also the connections, connected servers and clients, stuff like that. So all these can be actually viewed inside this single resource itself. Right, so as you can see, I can go here and expand it, and the updater, talk show, PowerShell, all these are here, right? Okay, so that's about the VMs. It's very helpful to have it here. And now let me go to the resource group again and show you the application insights. Now I have this API demo application insights created, and this API application and the web front end are created as web applications. And what will happen is this WFE is the web front end, which I have in here. And it's connecting to this API, which will be hosting an API that's bringing data in here and will be letting me create a post request to it so I can add data there. And back from it, actually, it's connecting to this Cosmos database. If I may go inside, I will go to the Data Explorer. I can show you what we have in here. So I have this database in here and a collection and an item in here. So if I just click on this, yeah, say first name A, last name B, I will turn the H to 30 and just give an update. So it appears here. So what happens is, if I go back again, this web front end is working as the front end. It is exposed to outside, and usually the APIs are hosted inside. They are not much exposed to public networks, and the Cosmos DB is connected via this. Now, in an ideal situation, what will happen is we will have a firewall in the front, and then the web front end, the web application that you see, and the firewall and web application will be connected via a private IP, and the web application and the API will communicate there, and from then the API connects to the database. So that's how it's happening in ideal world. Now what I will do is I will just refresh this page a few times, and also I have a page that is not available, so the same URL. this page is not available, so I will give a few refreshes here. Now if I go to my web front end, this is a web application on Azure, and let me just give a refresh. It can take a little bit of time to come in here. Actually, I will go to, yeah, I will just come back. So in the web front end, you can see the HTTP 500 errors. That means the serve errors. Usually 500s are serve errors, and the data in, data out, and the request that came in, and the response time up in here. Now, if I go to the insights, you can actually connect from here. And as you can see, I have set up an insight resource named APPI demo. And if I go here, I can see all the information related to my requests here. Now let me see whether it has come in here. Now it's 455, yeah, somewhere around here. And the server request, how many have come in here? All this information are available. Now if I go into the application insights application map, it's actually showing me how these resources are connected to each other. Now let it come in here. Now as you can see, the web demo WF is here, which is the web front end, and it has sent 3 calls to the API web application. So which is the API, as I said, web front end is calling the web API, and then my Cosmos database is here, and it has sent 44 calls to this Cosmos DB, right? Now this management .azure.com HTTP is here as well. Now if I just go and select this Cosmos DB, you can see more information about this node. So what are the slowest calls? What are the selected nodes? You can select one node, and you can even go and investigate performance of that particular node inside Cosmos DB. So as you can see, different information are available for me as I really need it, right? So let me go back here again, and if I select the API, you can see. So what happens here is API has 2 endpoints. One it is a get endpoint, which is fetching the data from the Cosmos DB, and one is a post endpoint, which is like pushing the data into Cosmos DB. Now if I just come in here and add something like first name like PQR, STU, and age something like 33, and submit. Now what's going to happen is this will push a record to the Cosmos DB and again fetch all the information. So that's what it's showing as post and get. So usually when we are writing data with the configuration we have with the Cosmos DB right now, writings are a little bit expensive than readings. So this many seconds has gone, and you can even go inside it and investigate the performances inside it, like how much time and the count of requests that I have coming here. So let me go back again and let me deselect this. So if I go to the WFE, let me just give a refresh here, just to see if any information got updated right now. Yeah, so the 16 has become 21 here right now. If I go to web application, now as you can see, I have this abbc.aspx page here. Now as you can see, there's no such page existing. Now if I come here, you can see top failing request by name, and you can see that abbc.aspx, and it has failed 3 times. It will take a bit of time to come into the 4th one, but we'll see. Yeah, it will take a little bit of time. Now what will happen is when I'm this is very useful is, now if you look at some security threats and stuff like that, what the intruders are trying to do is they are going to try several different URLs of a web application. Some are very common for, like, if you have WordPress site or stuff like that, there are certain login URLs that are very common. So they are going to try and ping these URLs and see. Now, if these are failing and you are using different technology, stuff like that, those information will come in here. And you can see what are the actions that you need to take depending on what are the threats that you are coming. And then likely we can see the slowest request by name. We are sending a post request and it's taking 3.9 seconds and getting, and it takes 2.5 seconds. Now, if you look at this instance, it's taking 2.4 and 3.7. So if I come here, for a post request, it's taking additional 2/10 of a second. And for the get request, it's taking additional 1/10 of a second. So that means the bond between this WFE and the API is quite good, because it's in 1/10 and 2/10 of a second between the calls, right? And if I just select here, you can see all the failed requests that are available. It's just up in here. And if you go to the compute section, you can see this app service and the information and see any overview you need. And then we have the smart detection that I haven't, I think, set up here. And then the live metrics. So what the live metrics stream is doing is it's really streaming the live data on as it happening. Let me just refresh this page and see. As you can see, we can see the number of outgoing calls. It's taking this much of time. And we can see the server name up here as well. So I can just click on it and it filters by it. So if I just go here and just give a refresh here again, as you can see, the incoming requests that are increasing. See, and the request failure rate, we have 1 request failure per second. And if I give a few more requests, this must go up. Yeah, as you can see, it's going up because there are failures in the request. And you can see all the failures up in here as well. And this can be easily filtered based on your need. And we have certain columns here that we can use. Yeah, the exception, stuff like that. So all this information are very easily available within this live metrics. And then if we come to failures, you can see what are the failures that have come. Now, I was having a few tests yesterday and within the last 24 hours. As you can see, we have some 500 errors, that means server errors. And then we have some 404, the not found exceptions. So if I filter by 500, you can see what's happening, all the request pages that are available here and what are the errors that comes in here. All this information are becoming here. And if you need, you can click by a page or operation. As you can see, all what has happened is HTTP exceptions. So what it's saying is the file abbc.aspx does not exist. So that's very consistent across area and available. And then we can see the performance. So it's an overall performance overview. And if you look at the last 24 hours or even last hour, let's keep it last 24 hours. As you can see, it has posted 2.62 seconds time. Actually, I can filter this by resource. Let me see whether it's available. It should be available. Oh, it's not. Server service, something like that. Yeah, so it's, I think, so what you can do is you can add more filters. Okay, so we have the role. So let me just take it away. Now I have this WFE and API both here. As you can see, they are in the same app service plan. If I deselect API, I can see only the web front end related information here. As you can see, the site CSS and JS ones are available here with few milliseconds. So if this is a very high number for static files like this, what I can do is I can make a decision on itself and put them into a content delivery network. So they actually loads faster than what you are doing, what we are doing here, because in a single location. Now we have this app service in a single location in US, and I am connecting it from Sri Lanka, and you might be connecting it from Europe. Now what happens is when we have a content delivery network, it distributes this content across Microsoft Edge servers. So if you are connecting from Europe, one closest to you will be coming in from here. So the CSS file loading times will be much faster than right now. And you can see all the information with the counts here. If I go to the dependencies, you can see it depends on these requests, and the durations they have spent here are available here as well. And I can actually go to roles and just here and select both. Right now this one is the only one selected, but if I select both, I can come back to everything here. Now what has happened here is I have a single application insights resource here, and it is connecting to multiple instances. I can add more into here, but ideally in a normal world implementation, what we'll do is we'll create like one or two services inside it, so it can be easily managed rather than just looking at the different things. Now what I showed so far is only the things that are belonging to a certain instance, but Azure Monitor is not all about it. So the beauty of it is, okay, I have one more thing just to show you before that. I can show you the alerts. Just come in here. Now I have this application instance resource. Let me just go back to this web app service. And now I will go to this monitoring section. And as you can see, I can see the alerts out here. And I can create a new alert rule here. So it will show you the scope. What is this? This application service. And I can add a condition here. Right? So I can see HTTP 404 here, and even there are so many pages like 500 server times errors and so on. So I will select HTTP 404, and decision name is the instance equals this instance, this app service. So if I get greater than 5 count, now you can see as soon as I've selected 5, it shows me a potential alert location, right? And it will look for an aggregation period of 5 minutes. So within a 5 minutes, it will see whether I have more than 5 instances occurred here, and it will evaluate it every 1 minute. Now I can make it evaluate every 5 minutes if I need, and I will make it done. So the condition is set. So the condition is simply if any 404 errors come in more than 5 instances within 5 minutes, and it's evaluated every 5 minutes. And it's going to cost me estimately 10 seconds here in USD. And now I can select an action group. So what's the action group is, I have an action group here, or I can create one action group here. So what it will do is I can define the action group name and notification type, whether it's an email and so on, and I can select the action. I can set up different triggers based on that, or I can select to notify a different set of people in the Azure subscription, like the owners or the contribute people. So I just go back to this, cancel. Go back to my create alert rule. So I will select an action group which I have already created here and select this, and then I can select something like error 400s alert, and then give the subscription and so on. And severity, I have selected information, I should select it as critical, and give these parameters and just create it. If I just come here and refresh, the next time it happens, it will come in here, and also it will send an email because I have set up the alerts in there. So this is for a web application. So likewise, it will apply for a virtual machine as well. Right. Now going back to what I was speaking earlier, now we can see all this information related to all these resources up in here as well. Now if I go to Azure Monitor that's available here, this combines all the information from all the all the resources within my subscription, or even more. Now I select my whole subscription. I can't select whole subscription. Let me select one resource. Let me say application insights and select API demo and apply. And the matrix, oh sorry, just I will actually select the WFE here and select the CPU time. Yeah. So whatever we saw here earlier, so there earlier, we can see that that here in the overall single location as well, right? And what happens next is you can share this as a downloaded Excel, or you can even pin this one to a dashboard or create an alert rule even in here. So it's simple as that, right? So let me go back to this monitor. And then the most important thing is this querying and analyzing logs. So if I just come to query and analyze logs, I can see different tables. Now, as you can see, Azure Monitor for VMs, log management, and custom logs, right? And then I can see the queries. So I can select actually by category. Now you can create custom queries, of course, but if I categorize by the category, you can see depending on the type of resources, what are the sample queries that you're going to have. If I just go to application and select this, I can see there's the uh, logs with the warnings and errors are here, which is not set up because I just set it up. But I can see something like exceptions and run this. So as you can see, information coming from different sources can be connected here, right? As you can see, this abbc.aspx is here, and several other exceptions are also there. So I can actually apply further more filters here. Basically, it's using this language. Oops, I see. So this queries actually can be configured to be in different ones like this. Apply the where queries and summarize and sort by all this information as well. And then we can pin it to dashboard. And if you need, you can save this one as a query in a log analytics workspace, right? So every time you come in here, it will be available in here, right? So this is one of the key areas of this Azure Monitor, because you get to see the raw logs and how they are happening, and see, I mean, even a developer can make decisions based on this information, right? So that's it about me in terms of the demonstrations. If you have any questions, you can actually ask now.
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
So in the Azure Monitor, is it possible to create a baseline for example, an application? So if you have like 404 errors, like commonly like 10 each day or something, which then which you can create a baseline for, and then for that you can use that as some kind of error management if there are more than 10 errors.
Yeah, actually, let me see. So I earlier showed in the demonstration how you can create for one. I think for the overall, I'm not. Yeah, here we can. Let me see. Let me share my screen. So I'm here in the Azure Monitor itself, and you can create a new alert rule here. And here I can either define a scope or not define a scope. So all the resources will come in here. And if I need, I can just filter by the resource type and say app services.
Okay, does that create its own baseline? So like monitor for 24 hours and say that baseline is okay, and after that you will use that as a limit to issues that might occur.
I think here we need to define it by the resource itself and take it out.
Okay.
There's no way we can summarize it. But what you can do is when you are deploying a resource, there you can actually specify that rule in the ARM template. So whenever you deploy something, that one gets automatically added.
Okay.
Because if I may go in here to my resource group, as you might see here. So we have these solutions that come in here. So those are mainly like the insights, alerts, and stuff like that.
Okay. So if there's any questions, please feel free to ask now. Just raise your hand. It's the guy with the smiley face on top and with a hand raised up. It seems like there is no questions right now. So I think we will just leave it at that.
Sure. If any questions, just drop me a mail. My email is there. So.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. This is the first lecture this fall for Azure User Group in Iceland, and it's getting pretty cold outside now, so the winter is coming.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Malin.
Thank you for having me. See you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.